Hello! Today is the second video in my Mad Hatter costume series in which I am making this Mad Hatter costume. It is meant to look like an ostentatious performance outfit put together with scraps from a millinery shop floor. As one of the few descriptors we have of the Mad Hatter in the books is that he's a man of little means. I decided to make it scrappy as hell, so the first video, which you can find up in the bubble or down in the description below, I went through a few of my design iterations on the costume and how I approached where we are now, and I started working on the coat, and today I'm going to be finishing up the coat, so doing a few fitting alterations and adding buttons and closures and final touches, and I'll also be making the skirt for this costume. So here's where we left the coat off at the end of the last video. It is pretty much done, but I have this dart that I wanted to add in to get a little more shape at the waist. So I just want to measure that, make sure I know exactly how much I need to take out of each side, which looks like it's about 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna mark which seam I have that pinned on, just so I make sure I'm doing it the same way, and then I'm gonna try it on and mark the top and bottom of that dart, which I did off camera. And now I am making a little pattern template for that dart, so it's the same shape for both front panels and the lining. This is very haphazardly done. Basically just randomly picked a point to measure my 1/2 inch and then sort of connected the dots with a French curve. Can't recommend you follow what I did. To get those darts marked, I have to open up the bottom of the hem. I did a portion of it with machine stitching and the rest with hand, so I'm just finding where that hand stitching started and pulling it all out with a seam ripper. The other fix I want to make is to remove this like 1/4 of a panel strip of patches that's on the front edge there. I'm just going to sew it down that seam line just to get rid of it completely. I'd rather the coat ended on a row of complete sized patches. Alright, so now we are inside of the coat. I am marking the dart placement. And now I'm getting it all pinned together. It's really important to make sure that both sides of the dart are pinned to each other, so you don't just have some wild shape sewn into the dart. So I am very carefully making sure the pin goes through the line on each side of the dart. And here I am sewing that front edge out, getting rid of that little 1/4 patch panel there by just sewing right down the seam line. And here's the dart on the front fashion fabric, and the dart on the lining. Turn it inside out, make sure I like it before I trim the seam allowance and clip the corners. And then I repeat that for the whole other side. And then it's on to buttons. I know I was going to choose between wood and abalone last time, but I ended up liking them together. So I'm just marking out the spacing, choosing buttons, and sewing them down. And then when choosing the buttons for the second side, I made sure I had the first side visible so that they would complement each other well and not look too matchy or too just nonsensical. Alright, here we go, the frock coat, it's done. As you can see, there are a few things that I still want to fix. I'm going to go in top stitch the whole edge, just to keep that lining tucked in, and I think it'll add to the aesthetic to have like a running stitch running around the edges of the thing. And I still want to add more patches, obviously the flowers in the cuff, but the buttons and the darts and the closure is like exactly where I need it to be, and I love it, and it's really fun to twirl in. I'm gonna knock this cardboard behemoth behind me down, so I'm gonna stop twirling. I am planning to make this a more permanent backdrop. If you're interested in seeing backdrop construction, let me know, I can turn it into a video. But for now, I'm gonna move on to the skirt in this costume, which is a yellow corduroy. It's just the same rectangle skirt that I make for everything. If you have a pattern you love, why change it? So here we go. Here are my supplies for the skirt. I've got 3 panels, the width of the fabric by 28 inches, the waistband piece, which I've interfaced already, the button, the zipper, and the tools I'll need for the job. Now corduroy has nap, so like when you run your fingers down corduroy or velvet, it'll be smooth one way and rough the other direction, and you really want to make sure that those are facing the same way when you're sewing panels together, or the light will catch them differently. So I was just testing the nap to make sure it was running the same direction and then sewing those panels together. Here I am stitching a guide stitch for my waistband, so that when I am ironing it all into its bits, the seam allowance is right. With napped fabrics, they look different based on the way the light hits them. So traditionally you'd want to sew with the nap facing down so it's smooth when you run your hands down the skirt. But the light will actually catch it and make it look richer if you put the nap the other direction. It is a theater trick that I use there all the time, and I'm going to use it for this costume too. So it'll be slightly less fun to run your hands down, but look a lot nicer. And now I'm just adding 2 rows of gathering stitches to that top. And then I am pulling gently on the threads and gathering the fabric up in thirds to match each to a third of the waistband. And then I am meticulously straightening all of my gathers as I stitch them to the waistband. You technically don't have to do that, but you might end up with some of the gathers caught at a diagonal, because this machine will push them toward you while they're being stitched. I just like making sure that they're all pointed straight down. Here I am getting the invisible zipper on. Just have that invisible zipper foot there. Runs right over the little plastic zipper coil and stitches right alongside it. Very easy. It's like my favorite new foot I've bought so far. And then I am stitching down the seam on the back underneath the zipper. And then I am pinning the waistband down on the inside so that I can stitch in the ditch on the outside and it'll catch the edge on the back. And stitching it down. If you're careful enough and have a thread that is well matched enough to your fabric, then this is a practically invisible method from the outside of joining that waistband down. And there it is on the inside. All the edges are sealed, so there won't be any crazy fraying. This is my automatic buttonhole foot. Just stick the button in there, and the machine stitches a buttonhole for exactly the size of the button. It's amazing. I love it. and it actually works on this machine. I've had them that don't, and those are not fun. Then I'm stitching the button on. I may go in and add a secondary button at the measurement I would need for wearing this corseted, but I haven't decided yet. I don't think I will be wearing it corseted. The only reason I ever would is if I wanted to wear it with that green and red vest that I made for the Christmas costume, which I'll link on the screen, which is made to my corseted measurements. Alright, here is the skirt all done. I love the length compared to the jacket. It's just a little bit longer. Perfect. And it is exactly the right fit, which isn't a surprise. Like I said, I've made this pattern many times before. I'm very happy with it. I'm going to be wearing it a ton outside of the costume as well. Well on my way though to a completed costume. Next month's video I'm going to be starting on the vest. Maybe finishing it, we'll see what I can get to. And probably showing you the blouse as well, since it's an item I already own. And then it'll basically be the clothing ready. I'll just have the neck ruff and the hat. And there is a special surprise extra portion of this video. My tango boots arrived, so I'm going to be unboxing those for you. It's very exciting. Here you go. Here they are. The box is so pretty. My American Duchess tango boots. These were on pre-order for a while, so they have finally arrived. I have tried them on already, just to make sure that they fit and I don't need to return or exchange them. And they are just so beautiful. They are the perfect shade of red. And look at those ribbon laces. I fell in love with these the second that they announced them and basically needed them. Like I said, I was slotting them into this costume as an excuse. They would also be great for my Christmas outfit that I did. I did order these 2 sizes up from my street size, well, about a size and a half, because my feet tend to be wider and they do run narrow, but they are a perfect fit and I love them so much. Alright, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you saw and would like to see more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a ton. And if you want to watch more of what I've been up to, I have some videos on the screen for you.